I'm having a lot of thoughts, and so I think I'm just gonna voice tweet and let it run for as long as it needs to run and just say what's on my mind at the moment. I think that when it comes to making the best content that I can, I think that a lot of my experiences in my first year as, having all of this success has definitely hit me with a lot of experiences that have changed the way I think about this kind of thing, but not always accurately. I think that for me, I'm really sort of sensitive to the idea that some people don't like aspects of my content that other people do like. It's a really obvious concept, but it gets under my skin a lot. And if in an ideal world, I think I would just be a really palatable and enjoyable person that I think the majority of people would really enjoy watching. But I think that what I've been experiencing is that over the course of this career, I've kind of fallen down a certain rabbit hole that's, which purely of my own creation, that's sort of made me into a certain type of content creator. And that's okay. Like, it's not anyone's fault for enjoying a certain type of content that I do. I mean, I think, to be honest, the reason that I fell into being a fan service VTuber was probably because I just enjoyed the approval that I got whenever someone in chat would ask me to do something and I did it, and they would sort of, say, oh, thank you very much, or Tascado, or whatever it is. It felt nice, and so I kept doing it. But then over time, it does sort of make me really start thinking about the longevity of my content and how it must look to someone who doesn't know what's going on or who is joining us for the first time. To me, I think that a lot of the names and faces that I see popping up on stream more often than not are ones that have been here since the beginning. There are very dedicated kindred and some brand new ones as well. But I think, to be honest, if I were in this community and I weren't in this position and I found my content as a brand new person, I think I would find it somewhat impenetrable in a way. There are so many in-jokes and so many traditions, and not to mention, I think that I do agree with people that having like a really sus aspect to almost every single stream is kind of exhausting, and I think it stems from my inability to say no to people. People are giving me their own hard-earned money through supers. I need to respond to that and do, obviously not always, but I really feel that I owe the people in my chat so much, and the worst nightmare that I have is not giving them the thing that they're coming to me for, and that resulting in things falling apart or someone leaving, and it's bad, and I'm very sensitive to that kind of thing, and I want to be able to make the right thing for everyone, and I really want more people than just like the people who enjoyed this very specific style of content to be able to watch me. But I think that over time it's become, so dictated by what a small minority of people want me to do that it's sort of scaring away everyone else. And I think it sort of really relates to the whole experience of chat, because if all I'm ever doing is giving fan service, and if all I'm ever doing is reading reading supers and trying to do whatever it is they ask me to do, because like I said, I feel sort of obligated to do whatever a person asks me to do in a super. It sort of feels like it's required of me, like it's in my job description. But then, of course, for example, streams like a Minecraft stream can be just me chatting and relaxing with everyone, which is my favorite thing to do, or it can become one person makes a really sort of, intimate request of me, and because that's just what I do, I'll respond to it and I'll give it to them, and then suddenly there's an avalanche of people who all want me to stop and pay attention to them individually, which I don't mind, but while I'm doing it, I do think about the experience of everyone who is not one of those people, everyone who was enjoying the other aspect to the stream. And so I think maybe the right thing to do is to kind of shake up the chat rules a little bit and add another clause about spam. I mean, the whole thing about it is that I actually really enjoy emote spam. It fills me with dopamine, and whenever I do something and people say taskaru, or like they have the kek emote in chat, it always makes me laugh and it makes me smile. But the chat isn't really for me. The chat is for you guys to interact with me. And so if it's generally like agreed upon that a lot of people would prefer that stop, then maybe we can take a look at sort of reducing that. So all I'm really trying to do at the moment is to kind of keep my fingers on the pulse of what is generally enjoyed by, the majority of the people who watch me, because I think that I've made the mistake in the past of trying to appeal to people who don't watch me and sort of forgetting what made my own content special in the first place. And so I don't want to make that mistake again. I just want to listen to you, okay? And the fact of, let me just try and think about what I'm going to say. I think the hardest part of all of this is that when you're on Twitter, you see the perspectives and the opinions of only so many people. And one of my biggest fears really is taking action and making drastic changes when there's a whole community of people, specifically those perhaps who don't have access to Twitter, perhaps those with a language barrier, who, what am I trying to say here? Who I may not get to see the perspectives of, and that is a little scary. It's a little frightening to not know what everyone in your community is thinking. And while I might see the opinions of people I might see the opinions of people on Twitter who might have the right idea, but then it might make me think that that's what the entirety of my community thinks, but then it may only be a small sample size, and there may be an even larger swath of people who don't think that way, and I may be letting them down as well. I think it's, again, branches from what I was saying like right at the beginning of this giant rant, that I really struggle to say no to anybody. And if a fan or someone giving a super asks me to do something, even if it makes me really uncomfortable, I'll probably do it still. So it's definitely difficult to know which direction to take this, but all I'm going to ask is, like, again, I always say this, but please be kind to one another and don't get into arguments. Just let's discuss this like nicely and with the effort that to bear in mind that at the end of the day, I am a YouTuber. You are watching a guy who plays video games online. It ain't that deep, okay? The main thing is just trying to create a community that's nice to be a part of and to create content that you guys enjoy watching. And that is all, okay? So let's just have a nice chat about it and try to figure out what we're going to do next, okay?